In 1989, deep beneath the National Archives in Washington, D.C., a security guard discovered a locked steel box that was not listed in any government inventory, carried no markings, and was sealed with a melted edge as if someone had tried to destroy it. What lay inside that box would force historians to re-examine the earliest chapters of American history and question whether one of the most famous events in the nation's birth ever happened the way we think it did. Part 1. The Box That Should Not Exist. Marcus Hale had worked the midnight shift at the National Archives for 17 years. He had watched more presidents come and go than most Americans cared to remember. He liked the silence, the calm hum of the underground ventilation, the faint scent of paper older than the country itself. But that night, October 12, 1989, was different. A faint metallic clang echoed from Sublevel 3, the deepest part of the archives, where only senior archivists were allowed. Marcus shouldn't have gone there. His job was to patrol the public access levels and the perimeter, but the sound pulled him like a magnet. When he turned the final corner, he saw it, a steel storage door hanging slightly open. Inside, dust floated like drifting snowflakes, and on the floor, half buried under a fallen shelf, was the box, sealed, heavy, cold to the touch. Marcus called his supervisor, but the response was strangely dismissive. "Probably misplaced during cataloging. Leave it until morning." But Marcus couldn't leave it, not when he noticed that the box's surface had no catalog number, no tape label, no archival markings, nothing. Every item in the archives, even a blank piece of paper, had a tracking number. This didn't. And the metal wasn't like anything he had seen before. Smooth, seamless, almost surgical. For a full minute he debated opening it. Then curiosity won. The lock was fused shut. He fetched a small industrial cutter from the maintenance closet. Sparks illuminated the narrow room as he sliced through the seal. The lid fell open with a dull, heavy thud. Inside lay a leather-bound journal dated 1775. 5 sealed letters addressed to the Continental Committee, Eyes Only. A broken wooden emblem of a serpent. A map of the eastern seaboard with unfamiliar symbols. And a single sheet of parchment labeled simply, "The Black Minute." Marcus didn't understand what he had found. But he knew one thing instantly. This was not meant to be found. And history, American history, was about to be ripped wide open. Part 2. The Journal of a Man History Erased. The journal's first page bore a name Marcus had never seen in any textbook. Journal of Ezra Briggs, Field Operative, Continental Shadow Commission. Continental what? Marcus flipped through the pages, hundreds of them, each filled with tight, disciplined handwriting. Some were water-stained, others were smeared as if they had been written in haste. The dates began in late 1775, just months after the first shots of the Revolutionary War. But something strange stood out. Ezra described events Marcus knew from history, but differently, very differently. The Secret Committee. According to the journal, before the Declaration of Independence was even drafted, a secret group operated parallel to the Continental Congress. Not soldiers, not politicians, not diplomats, but watchers. A group tasked with uncovering threats to the revolution that the public could never know about. They called themselves the Shadow Commission. They answered to no state, no general, no president-to-be. Their mission was simple: protect the birth of the nation, even if the truth must be buried. Ezra Briggs, the author of this mysterious journal, claimed to be one of their earliest members. Marcus's heart hammered in his chest as he read the next line. History will never record our actions, but without us, there would be no history to record. He turned the page. Part 3. A Conspiracy Before the Revolution. Ezra's early entries described tensions between patriots and loyalists, common knowledge, but then came a shocking twist. He wrote of a secret network of British operatives embedded not among the redcoats, but within influential American families, financiers, shipbuilders, and political influencers. They were called the Order of the Serpent. The wooden serpent emblem in the steel box suddenly made sense. According to Ezra, the order had existed in the colonies long before the Revolution. Their goal? Maintain British control not through soldiers, but through manipulation, misinformation, and economic dependency. Marcus stopped reading. This was impossible. If such a group existed, historians would have found something, anything. But Ezra anticipated this doubt. His next entry read like a direct answer. The order leaves no trace. That is their genius and their curse. For they believe history can be shaped from the shadows, but shadows do not survive the light. The journal described secret meetings in Boston taverns, coded letters delivered via smugglers, and patriot leaders being unknowingly influenced by people they trusted. Marcus felt a chill crawl up his spine. This wasn't just a historical footnote. This was a parallel history, one intentionally erased. And then he reached the entry dated April 16, 1776. The page was stained darker than the others. He wrote, "Tonight the order attempted what they call the Black Minute, a moment that, if successful, would end the revolution before it truly begins." He described an intercepted message, a plan to kidnap a key member of the Continental Congress, the name was scratched out by someone later, and replace him with an order-controlled impostor who would sabotage the revolution from within. Marcus stared at the line. Which founder had been targeted? Why was the name removed? Who removed it? Ezra and two other operatives tracked the order to a farmhouse outside Philadelphia. There, in the dead of night, a firefight erupted, quick, brutal, close range. Ezra was injured. The Congress member was rescued, but the order's leader escaped. Ezra described the man only as the one with eyes like winter stone, the man who speaks without moving his lips. The entry ended abruptly, with, "If the order rises again, America will fall from within." Marcus closed the book slowly. He felt like he was holding a live wire. A secret war during the Revolution? A conspiracy never recorded? A founder nearly kidnapped and replaced? This was enough to shake everything Americans believed about their own origin story. But the letters inside the box, the sealed ones labeled "Eyes Only," could hold even more. Marcus reached for the first letter. His hands trembled as he broke the wax seal. Inside, in looping colonial ink, were 7 words that made his stomach drop. "The order is not defeated. It has only grown." Part 5. Letters that should have destroyed history. The first letter Marcus opened was dated June 1776, written 2 weeks before the drafting of the Declaration of Independence. It carried no signature, only a symbol, a serpent with its head cut off. The letter read, "The order will not attempt the Black Minute again. Their failure has forced them into a harsher strategy. They now seek influence through documents, not men. Intercept their version before it reaches Philadelphia." Marcus froze. Documents. What document could the order possibly influence in 1776? He turned the letter over. A single underlined line stood out. The first draft is not the final truth. He stared at the words. Was this referring to the Declaration of Independence? He grabbed the second letter. Part 6, the Declaration that almost was. This letter was marked "To the Shadow Commission, Urgent," and dated July 2, 1776. It stated, "The order has created a counterfeit draft of Jefferson's work. It inserts a clause that would doom us in the eyes of future generations." Marcus's eyes raced to the next line. "Their false draft claims the colonies revolt to protect the economic order, not liberty." Marcus went still. This was explosive. A counterfeit declaration, meant to distort the motive of independence? Ezra had written in his journal that they understood something about history most people ignored. People remember motives, not events. If the world believed the revolution was sparked by economic protectionism instead of liberty, America's moral foundation would crumble. The final lines of the letter gave Marcus chills. "Briggs has intercepted the courier, but the order will try again. Protect Jefferson. Protect the pen, for the pen shapes the world." The letter ended there. Marcus leaned back in his chair, stunned. If this was true, then the real story behind America's independence included a secret information war, one fought behind closed doors, in taverns and alleys between hidden hands writing the nation's future. But one question screamed louder than the rest. Why were these letters hidden? And why sealed inside a box no one was meant to open? Marcus reached for the third letter, the one with a dark brown stain on the corner. Blood? He opened it carefully. Part 7, the Man with Winter Stone Eyes. This letter was shorter, written more urgently, as if scribbled while running. "Ezra has tracked the leader of the order to New York. He calls himself the Sovereign. No real name given, no history recorded. Some say he has served the crown in secret matters since the French and Indian War." Marcus frowned. This matched Ezra's journal, where he described the man who speaks without moving his lips. The letter continued. "The sovereign claims the colonies are too reckless to govern themselves. He believes America must be guided from the shadows for its own good. If he succeeds, our grandchildren will never know freedom was once possible." Marcus whispered the words under his breath. This was no longer just espionage. It was ideology, a clash between two visions of America, one birthed in light, one created in shadow. And the Shadow Commission, unknown to textbooks, was fighting to keep the light alive. Marcus placed the letter aside and reached for the fourth. It was the thickest yet. Part 8. The Night New York City Burned. The fourth letter carried a date every historian knew, September 20th, 1776, the night New York City burned. Most school books claimed the fire destroyed a quarter of Manhattan, and no one knew who started it. But this letter hinted at something buried behind centuries of silence. The letter stated, "The fire was no accident, nor the work of desperate patriots. The order set the blaze to destroy Washington's intelligence network." Marcus's eyes widened. The letter described hidden Patriot safe houses in Lower Manhattan, safe houses George Washington himself used to coordinate spies such as Nathan Hale and the Culper Ring. And the fire? The letter claims it was lit to wipe out those networks completely.
Even more shocking, Ezra Briggs was inside the city when the fires began. Marcus felt the story tighten around him. Ezra wasn't just an observer of history. He was inside the events Americans studied every day. The letter detailed a pursuit through the burning city. Ezra chasing the sovereign across caving rooftops, collapsing wooden bridges and smoke-choked streets. The final paragraph read, "Briggs wounds him. The sovereign falls from the roof of a church, but his body was never recovered from the ashes." Marcus clutched the edge of the desk. No body, no confirmation, just disappearance. A man burned into legend, or into a ghost. Part 9. A map that doesn't belong in history. The only item Marcus had not examined was the map folded beneath the letters. When he unfolded it, dust rose like a long breath finally let out. The eastern seaboard was drawn in familiar colonial cartographic style, but with symbols that made no sense. Triangles marking forests where no battle occurred. Circles along rivers with strange numerical codes. A large serpent symbol drawn across the mid-Atlantic coast. Across the top, a handwritten phrase, "The Orders Network, 1775-1780. Marcus ran his finger across the map. These markings didn't match any historical record. They indicated a network of secret outposts, supply caches, informant houses, a hidden infrastructure of influence. And suddenly something struck Marcus. If the sovereign vanished in 1776, what if the order continued in silence? What if these locations had descendants, modern equivalents? Was this map a blueprint? Marcus's thoughts were interrupted by a loud clatter behind him. A metal clipboard fell from a shelf, but Marcus had not touched it. He spun around. No one. Just the quiet hum of underground air. He returned to the table and found something that made his breath freeze. The steel box had shifted just a few inches, as if someone had touched it. Marcus slowly backed away. He suddenly understood something profound. Whatever the order was, whoever they were, they might not be gone, and they might not want this box opened.